Guys, it's been a while since we talked about Forge, right? So we're going to do it again. Jason Kalelat sets a new CPL record with 11 clean sheets in this regular season. Congratulations to him in that 1-0 win over Halifax. Not necessarily Kalelat's busiest game of the year. He's had some pretty busy ones and he's done a lot, but he has been very important for Forge. However, I think what's most impressive to me at the moment about Forge is they've conceded just 17 goals, which is wild. You know, in what is it, 22 games played, just 17. The CPL record for the fewest conceded in a season is 19, which Cavalry did in 2019. I don't think that that's likely to be broken by Forge this year. You never know, but that would be a tough one. Forge's club record is 24, which they set in 2022. So they may have their eyes on that one. This was interesting, though, because we asked Bobby Smirniotis after the game about how well they've defended this year, obviously how good Kalelat is, and he was quite honest with us. He said that they don't really work on defending that much. It's just something you have to do. And I think we have the clip here, so we'll just play Bobby's thoughts on Forge's defending this year.
Defending is a commitment. You know, it's not something, and I'm just going to say it outright, that we work on, 80% of the time in training. It's 92% on what we're going to do on the ball. And the other thing, because it's a mindset. So it's something we discuss more. It's something, it's a mentality that it's something you either do or you don't. And when you don't, then just be prepared for what's going to be the result of it. So, we work a lot through video and different things just on structures. And, once the guys have success in that, and when you have success with clean sheets, when you're winning games, when you're making it difficult for the opponent to score, you start taking more pride in that. And that's one thing we talked about in the offseason. We wanted to get back to being a more defensively sound team. Again, I'm talking about that 10% that we discussed. But if you put your focus to it and your mind to it, you do an excellent job, because the hardest thing to do in this game is put the ball in the back of the net. And every player will say that. Every coach will. Otherwise, we'd have basketball scores, but we don't. 1-0 today.
I mean, I wish we had basketball scores, but
10-9.
I exactly. We've had some at least lacrosse scores. Anyway, I think it's really funny that Bobby kind of says either you defend or you don't, right? It's not really much that they work on. It's something they ask the players to do. Forge are not top of the league in really any defensive action metric, right? They're not top in tackles or interceptions or recoveries or clearances, but they face the fewest shots on target in the league. They're the only team in the league with 0 errors leading to goals. They're just kind of across the board very hard to attack. AGR, what have you noticed about Forge and just why it's so difficult to score against them?
Yeah, I think Bobby noticed where he has it bang on is he kind of knows modern football. And I think with modern football, you're not going to have that AC Milan team of however it was when they conceded like 15 goals in 32 years or 32 games, and they did it by just it's 32 years. Imagine that. But yeah, they just sat by sitting back and just absorbing and forcing teams to break them down, because it's 2025, like at all levels of the game, from the very highest all the way down to Sunday league now. With how the game has changed, there's an emphasis on everyone being good at the ball, every position player being good at the ball, that like you just can't sit back anymore. And I think for Forge, that's perfect, because since day one, they've always been a team that wants to play front-footed, play front-facing. But it feels like this year they've really nailed their evolution in terms of how does that look. Like you mentioned that the errors leading to a goal stat. I'm not surprised, because whenever you watch Dan Nimick, this guy doesn't make mistakes on the ball in his half. And that's, when you look at a lot of errors around the league, it's always a goalkeeper, a center back making a dumb pass, or you try to dribble too much. Nimick's not doing that. Alex Janssen is not doing that. Yes, Kolelet's not doing that. Rezart Rama, all these guys, Marko Yevremovic, Ben Payton's played in that back line. You look at it, Maliko Olabi-Bellu, any dude who's played in that back line is not making those mistakes. Because with modern football, it's all about territory. When you have the ball in certain areas of the field, you don't make mistakes in them, it's going to immediately help your defense. That's why there's been this push where now the best offensive teams are the best defensive ones, because they realize if you break down the field in thirds, your third, you play it safe. The middle third, you try to be progressive. In the final third, you have fun. And Forge has found that balance perfectly, where they don't make mistakes in their own third. They got guys like Kyle Becker and Hojabapur, et cetera, who progress in the middle. And then they got guys like Jose Masunda, Tristan Borges, Mobile Bully, who like to dance in the final third, who like to have fun. And as simple as that might be, you don't have to work on defending when you're not actually defending. So no, I think Bobby Smirnotis has it bang on. And I think you see that when we talk a lot about this year being a year of goals and a resurgence in that regard, everyone playing on the front foot actually helps them, because the further the ball is away from your goal, the further you're playing in the other team's half, the less likely you are to make mistakes that lead to goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Bobby talks about his players knowing their defensive roles and their responsibilities. They also just look so comfortable in the back right now. The same back four of Yevremovich, Ashnioty Johnson, Nimick, and Rama. They've started the last 9 CPL games together in that back four. And Forge have conceded 6 goals in that stretch. And 4 of them were in one game against Cavalry, where, it's worth noting, Bobby put the reason they lost down to not being good enough on the ball, right? They gave the ball away to Cavalry far too often. And as AJR alluded to there, if you've got the ball, you're not defending very much. So, it just goes to show that this is a team that is really, really clicking defensively and off the ball, and they just kind of know what they have to do. But we should quickly mention Kalelat. Mitch, I'll come to you here. He obviously deserves lots of credit for breaking this clean sheets record. What have you liked about him and how comfortable he looks in Forge's backline after, maybe playing about half the games last year and now pretty clearly being one of the CPL's top goalkeepers?
I think it's what Bobby said when asked about this recently, is just he makes those timely saves that you need him to make. Like when you're in a Forge team that is on the ball so much, that controls so much of the game, like you're not going to have to make these 9-10 save games. Like it's just not going to happen, but you're going to have to make that one save where maybe there is a bit of a defensive breakdown or the other team gets that chance. And that's going to be the difference in the game. And he always seems to come up with that difference making shot. It's a lot like, Team Canada in hockey, right? Like, you're going to not get many shots on target, but you have to make those key saves in order for them to win the game. And he's been just so excellent at that. And again, that's why he's got so many clean sheets, and that's why Forge have been so successful with him back there.
Mitch Tierney is a big Jordan Binnington guy.